Are you ready? Okay. About 9.5 million Jews lived in Europe in January of 1933, and 3.5 million lived after the war. 6 million died in concentration camps, etc. They wore yellow stars on their clothes to determine what religion the Jews were from. Each star had a different design, so it was easier to determine which country they were from. They had to carry around ID to get approved, and some of the Jews also got kicked out of their own homes just because they were Jewish.
I went to a German grammar school until I was excluded for being Jewish. Once Czechoslovakia was divided, life became more difficult for the Jewish population on both sides. Jewish people weren't allowed to sit down on public transportation, and we were the last to be served in shops. I deeply resented being made to wear a yellow star on my clothing, and I used to cover it with a scarf on my walk to school. I didn't come from a religious family, and discrimination on grounds of being Jewish made no sense to me at all.
So Anne Frank was a 13-year-old girl. She was a normal girl. You wouldn't expect anything to happen. But she had to go to hiding. She had to go into hiding because she was Jewish, and since Hitler was like, oh, I don't like Jews, she had to go into hiding so she wouldn't be killed. So when her sister Margot got called up, they decided it was time for them to go into hiding. And keep in mind, like, she had normal 13-year-old girl problems, like boys and schoolwork and everything. So when she had to go to the annex room, it was a huge change for her, and I feel like she adapted really well to it, and plus she had to add 3 more people to her family, or 4 more people to her family, and it was crazy that anybody would ever have to go through that.
Jews were taken into concentration camps. The journey began by being told that they were only allowed to bring 20 pounds of their favorite and most important items. And so they packed up stuff the size of a small suitcase of all their most valuable possessions and put them on the train platform. And they were packed in very close together, so much so that they couldn't sit down, and stood there on the train for days, even weeks on end. So what they actually did with the valuables was they took out all the valuable stuff that the Nazis could use, and they burned the rest of it. So when they got to the concentration camps, they had no luggage. Then they were forced to go into the concentration camp. And in some concentration camps, they took the oldest into showers that were made of gas, so the gas would kill them. And then they put them in the incinerator. After this happened, the survivors who didn't go into the showers were forced to stay at the concentration camps, and they were given little to no food, and they were so skinny that when the Americans finally were able to rescue them, they could see their bones.